Good morning to everyone on this beautiful sunny morning. My name is Patty Daniel. My Dharma name is EunHaeHwa. And I've been practicing at this temple for about 15 years. A couple of years or so ago, I was asked to write a little article for a magazine called Buddhism in the Americas. It's published by the Dharma Center up in Claverack, New York. So I wrote this little essay about my path to and in Buddhism. And Reverend Wangang asked me to share it with the community. Maybe it will ring a bell with some of you, maybe it won't. So, My Road to Faith is what I entitled my essay. My path to Buddhism has been indirect, to say the least. 20 years ago, I was offered the opportunity to sign up for a free 8-week course at my place of employment, a busy major medical center. It was the mindfulness-based stress reduction course designed by Jon Kabat-Zinn. Some of you may already be familiar with his work. He has written books about stress reduction through mindfulness, and his 8-week course structure has been widely adopted in the West. Mindfulness and meditation were all the rage at the time, so I jumped at the opportunity. I liked the part about meditation and mindfulness, but I was not reared in any sort of faith tradition, and I found myself quite uncomfortable with what seemed to me to be the somewhat spiritual aspects of the course. For example, when I asked about what was it that we were supposed to be doing in meditation, I heard explanations like, well, it's inevitable, which seemed to me at the time to be a bit of a cop-out. However, I was also told, well, just do it and you'll see. So I took the instructions to heart and continued to meditate pretty regularly on my own without really understanding why. A few years later, I noticed a small sign on a road near my house that said, Won Buddhist Meditation Center, everyone welcome. It was in front of some sort of structure hidden behind some tall hedges. I had no idea what it was. But after driving by it many times, I finally, rather reluctantly, decided to attend a Dharma service. I was greeted so warmly and welcomed so fully into the meditation circle that I became a regular member from that moment forward. In spite of that favorable first impression, however, I remained both curious and suspicious. I was uncomfortable with chanting, bowing, and most especially praying. I found the moktak, the gongs, and the shoelessness quite strange, and I occasionally wondered if Buddhism was some sort of a cult. But something nonetheless held me here. I think it was that the Kyomunims embodied. They actually lived day to day what seemed to me to be a fully realized life of dedication, awareness, meaningfulness, and service to others. I thought, well, I don't really understand what's going on here, but I would like to be more like them. I began to read scriptures and books about Buddhism and study the writings of Master Sotesan and Master Chongsan. They actually made good sense to me. I talked to fellow practitioners like Michael Macklin, who had been connected to the temple for some time before I had come. He seemed quite sensible and knowledgeable. I visited the Wan Institute in Philadelphia and came to understand more about the scholarly and academic roots of Wan Buddhism in America. I kept looking for the fly in the ointment, but I never found one. In time, the teachings, the sangha, and the kyomunims helped me to understand that practice is the key. Those kyomunims who welcomed me at the temple were not happy accidents, but rather the result of dedicated practice in their own lives. And they taught us that we practitioners could achieve the same thing through the threefold practice: cultivation of the spirit, inquiry into facts and universal principles, and mindful choice and action. I continue to struggle with the concept of faith in a non-dual noumenal realm as opposed to a phenomenal realm. I struggle with concepts like chi energy and karma and reincarnation. However, with continued study and contemplation, I am slowly moving toward a broader acceptance and understanding of these things. The practice of Won Buddhism has allowed me to feel more comfortable with religion, or more accurately, spirituality. It has taught me to explore the spiritual and moral dimensions of myself without feeling in conflict with science or modern social mores. It has provided me the opportunity to come together in a structured environment with people from all races, genders, nationalities, and religious backgrounds to explore spirituality. We are held together by a common thread of searching for wisdom and compassion, and the temple guides us on our path. For me, the practice is what keeps me coming to the temple. It is too difficult to stay on the path without the support of the Dharma, and most especially the sangha. For me, faith means believing in the process itself. Believing in the process itself, that the path eventually leads to some sort of enlightenment. The doctrinal chart of Won Buddhism outlines two pathways to enlightenment. One is what they call a gateway of faith, and the other a gateway of practice. In my life, practice has led me to faith. The practice of meditation and gratitude, the practice of keeping a journal, the guidance of the kyomunims, the study of the scriptures, and the sangha itself have all led me to greater wisdom. The United States is likely the most materialistic and individualistic nation in the history of humankind. For this reason, it is easy, especially in a Buddhist setting with its emphasis on contemplatively looking inward, to get caught up in a desire for self-improvement and to lose sight of the need for selfless service to others. One of the four, what we call great principles in Won Buddhist doctrine is selfless service to others. Being immersed in my culture, I am not immune to its attractions and prevailing mores. I often value my independence and individuality too highly and fail to fully understand that there is no such thing as a fixed permanent self, and that we are all one and whole. Won Buddhism is a religion based on truth and a training in morality based on facts. I love that. A religion based on truth and a training in morality based on facts. That is an exact quote from the very first part of the Won Buddhist canon. Won Buddhism espouses a doctrine based on truth, not miracles, and a morality based in realism and practice. This is why it has become so important to me, and why I believe that it will flourish in the United States. Won Buddhist teachings are adaptable, lacking in rigid dogma, accessible, egalitarian, focused on gratitude and applicable to daily life. That is why I have made Won Buddhism my spiritual home, and yes, I guess you could say, my faith. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for listening.